YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look what we got here. We've got something all new from Arrows, or maybe it's not so much. It's a Sky Cruiser, which looks mysteriously like the Skytrainer from FMS. A few years back, if you've ever built one of these, you'll understand it's not an experience you want to repeat, but it should fly pretty dang good. Oh, and by the way, we are set up with a Vector and a 620, an AR 620. Now, if you wanted to omit the Vector, I don't even think you can order it that way, but you could put in a 630. Remember, it's very tight, it's hard to wire, it's hard to build. It's nothing like the 1.5 from FMS, which is amazing. Throttle cuts off. Just want to show you one other little feature we squeezed into this. Yep, reverse thrust, that's it. Okay guys, here we go. Takeoff flaps deployed. A little bit of crosswind. She's in the air, flying just fine. We do not have adjustable modes. Very good day bright LEDs, as you can tell. Camera crew, come toward me one step. Stop. Thank you. So with the Vector, we don't have any adjustability of the gains, and we did pretty much set it up as per the instructions on the control horn positions. I'm gonna tell you this right now, you need to go in at least one hole from what they suggest, because I feel like I'm really struggling to get this thing to roll and yaw, but it flies very relaxed. It's an easy flying plane. It's beautiful. It's got the herky jerk that I remember from reflex style, Vector style stabilizers, but it's definitely manageable. Love the forward facing landing lights, love the body. Definitely looks like a Cessna 182 if you ask me, but evidently somebody forgot to pay the license fee. And so yes, I am flying a little bit aggressively for a Cessna 182, but I just want to show you that it can technically do it. Those wing struts are glued by you. So if you do it wrong, you will lose your wing mid-flight. You need to be prepared to do it right. China glue is the way to do it if you ask me. If you ask the manual, I believe they called out medium CA. I would not suggest that in a million years. Also, the glass canopy looks really good. Cockpit area, 850 kV motor, 35, 36 or some such thing. We talked about it in the unbox. If you want to see a scathing review of an unboxed build radio setup, look no further than this plane. We are very hard on it, because there are many, many things about this build that went terrible. And it was very frustrating. It was very long. It was very tedious, and it was a month after we did an amazing, very easy, very beautiful, also Cessna 182 and 1.5 meter. So almost exactly the same plane, only all the things that we didn't like about this were better. Now I gotta say, this one flies pretty good. It's pretty much got a similar flight characteristics, feels a little bit less refined. Take off flaps now. Definitely less on the control throws, less refined on the LEDs. One thing they got right on this that the FMS product didn't, flashing LEDs on the nav lights are a huge non-starter for me, especially on a scale aircraft that's licensed. Okay, camera crew touch and go, so you're gonna step back. Thrust reverse does make for a very nice, smooth, controlled landing. Let's do some stall performance here. A little bit hard to keep that nose on the ground, but that's similar on most 182s. It is a spring-loaded. I do like the spinner on this one. The spinner's beautiful. Full landing flaps. Here we go. Full throttle. Trying to get off the ground. A little bit of wing flex on this you're going to notice. Yes, you do have tons more power on the 1.5 than you do on this, but this has plenty of power to get around, to cruise, and just do what you do. Interestingly enough, the Skytrainer had a blue and white livery. I actually kind of liked it better. But this one's got a little bit more sporty look to it. I am not a huge fan of the yellow in the paint job, but you might be fine with it. Unpainted, very smooth. I think they might have upgraded the foam a little bit. The green is very bright on the nav light. The red is a little bit dimmer. I'll show you that here. As you can see, as I make the turn, you can barely see it in the sunlight, but if it were dark, you'd be totally fine. Sorry about that janky turn, folks. That was just so I could demonstrate the light. We're gonna do an inside pass here along the grass. I would not recommend this for grass ops. It's gonna make it very dirty. but you could put it down in grass. I just wouldn't plan to do a lot of grass hops. In fact, now that I've said that, I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Here we go, guys. Take off flaps. A little bit of turbulation in the wind, very hot day, almost like 100 degrees today. I'm gonna go over the top of the main runway and then touch down. Ah, that was such a crappy grass hops. Okay, here we go. Grass hops, full up elevator. Oh yeah, it did all right.
Actually.
Never mind, I stand corrected, guys. Every once in a while, I'm wrong in my initial thoughts. I stand corrected on that. It did all right. Also, I just cut the grass like 2 days ago, or yesterday.
If you're flying off a grass strip that's well maintained, like
it'll be easy.
Yeah, that shouldn't be.
Yeah,
bad.
and by the way, I gotta say, some of my peers, competitors, or whatever you want to call them on YouTube, they don't like noisy, obnoxious tires. I don't either, but I just really want the soft tires. I don't really care if they're noisy. And that's not to take anything away from somebody else that's got a different thought. See how short that runway was? Okay, so
short.
No flaps, full up elevator, hard on the throttle. It's about 3-inch grass. Yep, if you don't have flaps, that is hard to get off the ground. It's like trying to fly from a high density altitude. I think I'm saying that wrong. Low density altitude.
But it was doable.
Yeah, it's manageable. It's kind of lame. Felt weak. I'm gonna do it again, except I'm gonna do it with takeoff flaps. Takeoff flaps now for this turn. Keep it nice and clean. A little bit of turbulence there. Full landing flaps now. Slowing it down. There it is. Okay, so very good. We got a pretty strong crosswind, and it's kind of cutting at a little bit of an angle, so I'm kind of, like with the wind, that's not so good. But I'm gonna still try takeoff flaps only, throttle cuts off, pull up elevator, hard on the throttle, get the weight off of the nose as quick as possible. Ooh, got it, even with the wind. I'm gonna try doing the other way here. We'll land coming back at us. Okay. You guys notice the vector is keeping up, the stabilizer, it's doing great. So here's my final thoughts. Full landing flaps here over the UPS stick, and we'll try to slow it down, bring it down on the mains. Whoa, man, I overshot like crazy. Must have caught some tons of wind. Really killed my ground effect there. Actually didn't kill it. It made it way too strong. Okay, landing flaps down. Way too hot, Brian. What are you doing? Goodness gracious. There it is. Woo. Worst landing yet, guys. Still got it down. Full up elevator, take off flaps. We're gonna bring it back to the runway. A little bouncy, a little harder to control, but not bad actually. I wanted to hate this plane because the build was literally terrible. I hated the build. It made me want to not have this plane because it was that bad. But the thing is, now that I'm flying it, I gotta say, it actually is flying pretty dang good. It looks great.
It does.
I'm not crazy about the trim livery, but you know what? I'm okay with it. Okay, take off flaps. It's not beeping yet, is it?
No, I haven't heard it.
I have a voltage alarm in there from Predator, all new from FMS. So if you guys want to buy one of those when you're buying your next FMS product, we did use China glue from FMS too. If you don't have China glue, you want to get some. Also, giving up the mode adjustability in flight might not be what you guys choose to do if you don't need thrust reverse. So just remember, you can still do that. All you have to do is not separate the yellow ESC lead. That's a signal lead that's extra. I am trying to get down to low voltage so we can demonstrate a time. And so if you guys see me doing loops repeatedly, you'll understand kind of why. Good day brights on that red. It's not too bad. I think the day bright LEDs are a little bit better on the big one, but the tinted glass might wet somebody's whistle. I kind of tend to like the clear glass of the bigger one. Although it does kind of have a scale appeal to it. It's almost like it's a period piece, from like the 80s or whatever. Truth is, you would think that more canopies would have tinted windows, but they kind of, a lot of them don't. Whoa, did you see that?
A lot of wind over those trees.
Wow, that shear is strong. Just glide now. Gotta say, that looks really good. And guys, I'm serious, like it was so bad. Like I was so mad when I was building this thing. I had to take my tail off, and it's glued on 3 times, right? 3 times. 1 time off camera, I installed it. 2 times off camera, I reinstalled it. Excuse me. Well, you'll just have to watch and see if you really want to hear it. And we left no stone unturned. I mean, I'm serious. Like, we were so harsh on this plane. And I gotta say, we're not generally really harsh on planes as long as the plane is good after it's built. We don't complain a lot unless it's a Dynam. And to be honest with you, I think some Dynams went together better than this. Plus you have to install the control horns, which just annoys us.
Yeah.
That's more of an annoyance thing. That part drives us both kind of nuts. But the thing about it is, if the plane looks good when it's done and it gets the job done in the air, I can forgive that pretty good, but my wife, the camera crew, she
cannot.
She does not.
I just feel like there's so many planes that have proven that
we don't have
build
to.
can be easier and you don't have to. So why are some of these older good models not being updated to make them easier to build?
Yeah, like let's make a hole too small for the wire. And then we're gonna talk in the manual about a component that we know is problematic.
Right.
Just so you know you have to deal with it.
Right.
It's not like they dealt with us. They just told us about what to expect. So here's what I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you the same thing to expect. Number one, expect good looks. Two, expect poor fitment on the wing, both to the fuselage and to each other. Expect a battle to install the main wing. Expect a battle to get the wires through the HVAC bulkhead through the middle of the plane. You'll understand if you watch the unbox. Expect foam to crush when you mount the wing. Expect the vertical stabilizer and horizontal stabilizer to barely mount and not be mounted very square and then get glued together and have to unglue it and fix a micro pH connector at least twice. Be careful the way you do it, or the light might not work. And I do want that flashing tail light. I think it's sweet, and I'm very glad it's there, but it's just not a very well thought out mechanism. There's not a big enough opening. In addition to that, you've got a push rod that comes out that also complicates the gluing. They give some terrible instructions on how to possibly work around it. There is no workaround. It's a huge pain. It's difficult. Also, you should not have to mount, throttle cuts on, structural components as a consumer. I'm sorry, that is not our job. That's, oh look, that popped up. Structural component. A, structural component. B, structural component. C, structural component 4. Not my job. It should not be my job as a consumer to install a critical structural component, okay? Some of you are gonna say that's not a critical structural component. Take this and do a little bit of 3D, a little bit of aerobatics, you're gonna find out how structural it is, okay? Full up elevator. We are at 4 minutes 55 past 7. See how quick you can get off in the wind? That was pretty good. That was like 10 feet. So, like I said, many things to watch for, to be disappointed by, and then you get it in the air. And to be honest, my wife is not the pilot, so she doesn't forgive and forget, but I do, because I love the way it flies. I'm gonna tell you, my biggest issue with this plane is you get guys, like some of our competitors that are gonna say it's easy to put together, it's not a big deal, and then you're gonna go buy it, and you're gonna say, why didn't you warn me, Brian? You can see the bend halfway across the left wing. That's just wind and doing, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of G-loading. But if you watch it, when I give it some G-loading, you can see that wing about halfway out, about where the landing light is. You can watch it bend. Now, I'm not going crazy or anything, but I am trying to demonstrate the weakness of the wing. Now, I'm not saying that you have to G-load the wings like that, but I want you to be aware, you're not gonna see that problem on the bigger brother. And I'm talking about 10% bigger plane. We got, let's call it a $70 difference in price, okay? So if it's a $270 plane, that's 10% is 27 bucks. So what do we got, a $50 difference in price? That was a terrible landing, goodness gracious, Brian. Okay, so if you got a $50 difference in price, all things considered, size similar, you've got better servos, you've got better lights, you've got better power system, better ESC, better controls, better, this is a bottom load battery, 2200 for 3S, excuse me. And the bigger brother is 2200 through like 4000 or some such thing. I can't remember, but it's a 4S or 3S. So this one here is 3S. So you of course gonna be a little bit weaker on power. You could probably fly it on 4S all day and get away with it. I think the ESC is plenty good. It's gonna have plenty of good air cooling too. But I like the spinner on this. I like the looks of this. I like the scale lines of this. I like the landing gear on this. They both have a spring-loaded nose gear. They both have good stout mains. They're both noisy. They both have rock hard tires. They're both flyable. I feel like the Vector doesn't really add that much in terms of value, because I would rather just have AS3X and Safe, to be honest, because I feel like it's a better property. It's a better system in general. Whoa, that was a bad one. You guys see that terrible roll? That was like where I could have used a little extra power to get out of that, because I got with the wind and it was maybe not working out so good for me. But I gotta say, the thing is flying fine. It does everything I want it to do as a Cessna 182 would, short of being a licensed product. And I'm not crazy about the rebranding into a different brand. So like, if you really get right down to it, these landings, gosh, Brian, I'm landing with the wind. Why am I doing that? Let's land into the wind like every other person.
Kind of crosswind right now.
Well, no, it's not. I just was with the wind. It was a poor piloting decision. Watch this, guys. A lot better landing coming. Watch this. Here we go. Goodness gracious, it carries forever. Look at the difference. Okay, out of the flaps. We're gonna bring it in. I'm gonna slow it down better this time. Take off flaps. Bleeding off some of my inertia going around the cherry on this final. More drag, get that airspeed. There it is, a little bit of slip. And just got a little bit more bounce there. Now that is a piloting error. You guys saw it. I had a couple of good greasy landings. We're now 8 minutes 55, over our 7. A little bit of downtime talking, blathering, trying to rip this plane a new one, and yet I can't do it because I just kind of like it still. And that's one thing I gotta say about this plane is I want to hate it because it went together so bad, and yet I get it in the air and I really enjoy flying it. Let's show you a 37-foot approach, or let's 37-foot takeoff.
Do you want me to
you stay right there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to, I want to be kind of with the wind. It's kind of absent here. It's a little bit confused. This is a 37-foot. Oh yeah, off the ground, no problem. So if you're on a basketball court, no problem. Let's see if I can land it there. I don't think that's going to happen. You guys see what's going on? I'm setting up a landing on a very, very short area. Flaps, flaps, a little bit of slip. Almost got it, guys. Okay, now we're gonna take off flaps, forward thrust, pull up elevator. Get in it, yeah, baby, woo! So I gotta say, I mean, if you're really serious with yourself, if it's a hard build, it doesn't make for a bad plane, it just makes it a hard build. So let's call it what it is. Let's call an ace, guys. We're all about the truth here on Brian Phillips RC and not BSing, trying to cover for manufacturers' malfeasance. It's not like these are bad people. They just made a plane that isn't quite as easy to build, as good looking, as nice wing loading, as easy to put the battery in. What else? As easy to build, as good looking, as licensed,
the wiring,
as big,
wiring up the
as
receiver.
easy to take the wings off for transit,
yes,
and storage, which is huge because you cannot take that thing apart. I'm sorry, you would be working your butt off. As easier to receiver. I mean, there's probably more. I just can't think of them. But the truth is, it's a little bit cheaper, but we're talking about like 10% less, maybe 15%. So let's call it 15 bucks, 20 bucks. By the time you take into considering a few of these small factors, maybe you take into consideration just the servos. Next thing you know, between the servos and the better ESC and the bigger plane, you're pretty much a dead wash, or actually a little bit more expensive per quality here, okay? So at the end of the day, I think you're really chasing good money after bad if you want this as a cost-saving measure. However, if you've only got the money that it costs to buy this and the receiver you need, it might be fine. And I don't want to poo-poo this plane any more than I have to make my point. If you can't get the 182 and the 1.5 full-up elevator, then I mean, this is not going to be a bad experience. It is a good experience. It's just not a good build. It's a good flight experience though.
And
right?
you only have to build it once.
And you only have
Hopefully.
to build it once. And I'm gonna tell you this, we just built this last night. It was so frustrating. We were at each other's throat.
Yeah.
We were pissed.
It
It was
was-
so
it was not great.
frustrating.
It was.
I mean, we were both mad. And we get mad sometimes when we're building because you just get into frustrating, uncomfortable circumstances and you just say, what are we doing with our lives?
Yeah, like this is how we choose to spend a Saturday.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, we ran out of battery, you know, and then they tried to assassinate Trump. And I was like, what the heck is happening?
It's a terrible day.
It was just a bad day.
Oh.
Finally, Predator.
Wow.
Thank you, Predator. So guys, it was just a weird day, guys. I gotta say, you know, if you're into Brian Phillips RC and you wanna help support us and you decide you're gonna make the decision to buy this, buy it from the links in the video description below. You're gonna regret it during the build and you're gonna be like, what the heck did I do? Brian, I should have listened to you. But then you're gonna go up and fly it and you're gonna be like, well, maybe it was wrong. That's literally how it's gonna go.
Right.
And after you get it, you can come back into the comments, you can say, I don't say this often, but Brian, you were 100% right on. And that's the thing, we've done so many planes, guys, we know how the experience feels.
Yep.
And it's hard to explain it to somebody that's new and they're like, whatever. Like, just because you have 400 of them doesn't mean you know how. Yeah, it kind of does. We know because we test them all in the same spot, in the same circumstances,
Yep.
with the same equipment, with the same filming crew, with the same dude. Now I get to be in a better pilot, she gets to be in a better camera crew, but the thing is, it's the same environment, everything is the same otherwise. And I can tell you this, the 1.5 meter was a lot better in every measure, except flashing lights I did not like. You can fix that. All you have to do is undo one wire and move it, okay? The second thing I like better about this is I like the spinner slightly better on this because it comes unassembled, so you don't have to break it taking it off.
Yep.
Full disclosure, I broke mine on the other one, which you can also see. Thirdly, I like the idea that I can put AS3X in safe, or I can purchase a Vector or Reflex as I see fit on the 150, or excuse me, the 182, okay? I also like that they're paying for a license to the companies that design these airplanes. Now, Cessna, Textronics, or whatever they are,
Yeah.
they're pretty greedy with their fees. So let's just get right down to it. I don't like that. I want them to get what's due them, but for God's sakes, it's a model, it's free marketing for you. Don't you want people seeing your awesome product that you can be proud of? It's a freaking model airplane, it's a rounding error.
Yeah.
You know how much you charge for one cam? Or, you know, you've got one exhaust pipe or, you know, one wing spark. Good Lord, raise the price 5% on that. You'll make more than you do on all your royalties from every model you've ever released. So at the end of the day, the Sky Trainer 1.4 from FMS, also known as the Sky Cruiser 1.4 from Aeros, it's fine. It's good. It's everything you want. But just pay your buddy to build it.
Yeah.
And by the time you do that, he's not going to be your
I was
friend.
gonna say, yeah.
And it might come to you in 3 pieces. Now, I'm telling you, I had that tail quite literally glued together 4 different times.
Yeah.
That is not fun.
No.
China glue. China glue is sticky, it's hard to pull apart, okay? So if you want to talk about assassination attempts, all I've got to say is this. Okay? This plane failed. Just like they failed. Okay? Here it is, guys. You heard it first on Brian Phillips RC. And when I say first, I mean, if the other guys were telling you any different, they're either lying to you or they're selling something. And I did watch the other videos because we didn't get ours on time. So whatever. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. We had time. We could have got it done. Not a big deal. Okay? At the end of the day, we just want to be able to bring you guys the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. Because at the end of the day, a million Chinese companies will lie to get you to do whatever they say, okay? And they're hungry and they got kids to feed, and that's just part of their business, okay? So you might as well get used to it. And if you can't handle that, you can't deal with Chinese. Because I'm telling you, we do it with a lot of them, and even the good ones do it. The bad ones do it really bad, and the good ones do it less bad. We're gonna help you sort through it on Brian Phillips RC. We love RC and we love our audience. We have some of the best people on planet Earth watching this video, and we're glad you're here with us. Now, does that mean that we're gonna fall on our sword for arrows?
Nope.
Nah. For FMS? Nah.
Nope.
For Horizon? E-Flight? No. Hangar 9? I don't care. Red Cat Racing? I don't care. Volantics? Sorry. Banggood? Definitely not. Timo? Ha! Are you kidding me? We don't work with those people. Jay does. That's all we got to say, guys. At the end of the day, if you want a good plane, this is gonna give you a good plane. If you want a plane that is gonna be better for virtually the same money and a lot less terrible effort, just get the 1.5. Sound like the guy from Survivor.
Yeah.
What's his name? Rupert?
Who? Yes.
All right, all. You have the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth. And yes, you see all these crush marks? Yep.
Yeah.
That's from working on a plane incessantly, from tearing things apart, from putting them back together. And I warned you about the grass ops. I knew this would happen. I mean, it's not really the plane's fault. It's kind of my grass's fault. Landing gear, once they get broken in, they'll actually be better. You can see they get crushed a little bit when you have a couple of rough landings. And I mean, even the nose gear was hard to put in.
Yeah.
You remember we had problems with that?
Yep.
So if you guys want to see an exceedingly frustrating video, and I don't know who's going to watch it, it's almost like a punishment watching it. You'll see me pissed off.
Yep.
You'll see the camera crew pissed off.
Yep.
You'll see us pissed off at each other. And it's real deal, guys. I mean, don't fake it well.
No.
Okay?
You might want an adult beverage before you start.
Or 3.
Couple.
Or 4.
Yeah.
All I
One
got to
an
say
hour.
is this plane, the difficulty assembling it is hard to overcome. It is the #1 issue. Everything else is actually fine about it. It's not a bad plane. If it came assembled and they worked out kind of the fitment issues here, it actually be a pretty good plane. But they didn't.
There's a lot of little improvements that would make it a lot better.
If it weren't just one thing,
Right.
it'd be one, you know, but it's not. It's
one
like
after another.
40. So scathing review from Brian Phillips, RC. We're here for you and not for them. And if they benefit from our video, so be it. And if you benefit from the video, so be it. If you want to benefit us, so be it. We've got lots of ways you can do it. Patreon, monthly support, thanks to you Patreons. YouTube members, monthly support, thanks to you guys. YouTube super thanks, if you want to do one time, and PayPal for one time. But really, the best way to support Brian Phillips RC is smash the like button right now. Watch the whole video once in a blue moon, which doesn't happen often because they're so long. And thirdly, and fifth or eighthly, the most important thing is when you want to buy a plane, buy it from the links in the video description below. Then I get paid commissions for my effort. And the camera crew makes money for her efforts. And our family can use that to offset the 9 hours that we sat, that my kids had to sit in their rooms while we filmed. That really is what happened. And that's not uncommon, okay? So just remember, there's 6 of us involved in this. It's not just my mistress. It's practically an open marriage. So we love these things, as in I love them, and my wife tolerates them, okay? But she's gonna kill one of them someday. And this plane's high on the list.
Yeah, it is.
It was that bad. Okay, but all joking aside and seriousness aside, the plane actually is fine once you get it built. But I mean, you gotta get there, okay?
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. The tail section is complicated to get together. It's just a hard fit. It's a tight squeeze. There's not enough length on the cable. You got to do a bunch of weird things to make it work. And some of you are going to get lucky and it's going to go together on the first shot. And look, even after all that screwing around, look at my elevator. It's not even square. My horizontal stab has no gap on one side and it's got a gap on the other. Show them. See, no gap,
no gap,
gap.
gap.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, does that stop it from working? No. Does it mean that the horizontal stab is a problem? Probably. Does it mean that they should have fixed the mold? Yeah. Did they fix it? No. Okay. Have we answered all your questions? Thanks, Harris, for working with Brian Phillips RC. We appreciate you. Come back for more. Hey, by the way, if you guys want to see more RC content, or you're curious about a Cessna 182, maybe from FMS, or an F7F from FMS, or a Bigfoot from Arrows, or what else? We got a BAE Hawk from Arrows. We flew that without half of the plane attached.
Yeah.
It was super fun. We've done tons of planes by tons of manufacturers. We try not to pick on them too hard, but we are going to give you the full truth, because at the end of the day, these things, you know, if you're just going to go online and just see what the pictures show and what they say about it, you're going to get burned, because you're going to get this plane and give yourself 15 minutes to build it, and you're going to be sitting there at like 9 o'clock at night when the sun's been down for 4 hours. You can be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Or you could plan an entire day, frustration and drinking, and you can get it done. All right, any questions, leave them in the comments below. We're here to serve you guys. Seriously. We're not going to sugarcoat this stuff. We're sick of it. There's so many guys online right now that are just full of crap that are doing this, and it's frustrating to us. And that's not saying everybody is. There's a lot of people that do this that are good at what they do. They're fair, they're truthful, they're honest. And, you know, we would like to figure that you guys put us in that category, okay? But there's some new stuff bubbling to the surface. And it's just market gimmick. You know, they're just working the system, and it pisses me off, because we love this hobby and we're all about it. We know you guys already get it, but we're just going to have to reinforce that for a little bit until those things disappear. Hopefully it's soon. Come back for more.